All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Skill Up Show. Good afternoon. If you are here with me, how are you doing this amazing new week? Welcome to the Skill Up Show. Today we are looking at how our emotions as parents and caregivers affect our children's emotional stability. You would agree with me that this is a very important topic that we're talking about today. Yes, because emotions and emotional stability is one thing that can make a mess of your journey as a parent. You can have all the knowledge that you have, you can have all that, the good intentions that you have. If your emotions are not in the right place, your emotions are going to make a mess of your entire journey and all the work that you're putting into that journey. Welcome to the Skill Up Show. My name is Marybeth Chima, and I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources. And yes, I am the proud matron of the Mastermind Circle. The Mastermind Circle is a peer mentorship and accountability group, yes, that we work with children and young people. We work with children and young people in the Mastermind Circle. We work with children from the age of 6. Yeah, if the child is a little over 5 and the child is, just give me a second, please. 1 second, please. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so sorry about that. We needed to get some things fixed here. All right, so yes. So I was talking about the Mastermind Circle, where I am the proud matron of this accountability and peer mentorship group. So in the Mastermind Circle, we take children who are 5 plus, who are already able to sit down and have conversations for 20, 30 minutes, and of course, have playful training for about an hour. So if your child is in that space, a little over 5, no, over 5, almost 6, okay? And of course, if your child is 6, between 6 and 14, then the Mastermind Circle is a place for you. In the Mastermind Circle, we say we help children build their foundation. We introduce them to skills, we introduce them to consistency, we introduce them to self-direction, we introduce them to the concept of mentorship, beginning with peer mentorship, self-mentorship. Okay, so it's such an amazing place for your children to build stamina. And the truth is, when children come into the mastermind, by the time they become full teenagers, it's amazing where these children are as far as emotional stability, self-development, and all of that goes. All right, so welcome to the Skill Up Show. Today, as I said, we are talking about how our emotions can affect our children's emotional stability as parents. Now, I want to ask you this. Have you ever, or do you ever ask yourself the question, am I raising an emotionally healthy child? Have you asked yourself that question before? If you haven't asked yourself the question, am I raising an emotionally healthy child? Then I want you to take, a few minutes during the session or right now and ask yourself that question or try to answer that question sincerely. Are you really raising an emotionally healthy child? Even if you haven't done or asked that question before, begin to ask that question today. Okay. Now, after asking yourself that question, right? You still think that you don't have the answers, right? You've asked yourself, am I raising an emotionally healthy child? Am I not? Right? How do I know? Because you can ask yourself that question and you are still unable to say, yes, I am, or no, I am not. Now, these are some indications. Okay, I'm going to share with you a few indications or a few things that you want to look out to help you answer the question whether or not I am raising an emotionally healthy child. Hi, Grace, it's good to have you here. All right, so at this moment, if you are here with me, Are you joining me on YouTube or you're joining me on Facebook? If you're joining me on Facebook, then you're probably in the Facebook group. Right. Do you have a friend that needs to be here right now? Why don't you go ahead and tag them so that they can be part of this session? Right. If you are on YouTube, do you know that you can copy the link and share with a friend that needs to be here right now, that needs to be a part of this conversation so that you are helping a parent somewhere become a better parent? If you are here and you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, why don't you go ahead and do that right now? It's a good time to do that. Click on the subscription button and subscribe so that you can be a part of all of the amazing resources that we have in that channel, all of the conversations that we have going for us, all of our past conferences, and all of, a lot of resources that you can, of course, our past meetings, mastermind meeting, still up weekly sessions. That way you can be a part of our past conversations and you can garner a lot of knowledge from what we're doing here. All right. So yes, we're talking about how our emotions can affect our children's emotional stability. In fact, their general stability, because emotions is core in your child's stability, basically. So I said, if you have not asked yourself the question, is my child emotionally healthy? Am I raising an emotionally healthy child? If you haven't asked yourself that question before, today is a good time. And if you ask that question and you still don't have the answers, now I'm going to share with you a few things that you want to look at that will tell you if your child is emotionally healthy. Number one is, ask yourself the question, does my child feel safe to share their needs, their worries, and all of that, their challenges with me? So especially for you who has got preteens, you have your kids who are now 8, 10, 12, 13. Your preteens and your just teens, that's your kids that are 13, 14. Ask yourself, do you think your 13-year-old son, your 8-year-old daughter, do you think that they feel comfortable talking to you about anything and everything at all? When they are excited, do they run to you to share with you? When they are worried, are you the first person that they would run to? When they are in trouble, are you the first person that your children will run to? Now, if you are in that space where your child is not running to you to tell you certain things, or you get to hear things outside, you hear things from their friends, you hear things from your friend who is a parent of their friend, things that happen that affects them. Yet you don't hear from them, but you hear from their friends' parents. If you are that parent, then you need to start questioning how emotionally healthy your child is. In that, how is it that your child is not safe sharing with you their pains, their worries, their wins, and of course, their struggles? Now, chances are that if you are not a parent who has opened a line for communication with your child, if you're not a parent who has this healthy communication going between you and your child, chances are your child may not come to you when they have problems. They may not feel safe sharing their problems with you. So, if you are a parent who is constantly judging your child, you come in and the first thing at the back of your mind, or the first thing that your children expect, and they most often will not be right, is that you will start looking around for what the problems are. You will always find something that they have done wrong. You will nearly always find something that they have done wrong or they're not doing right. I don't know, sometimes we don't even realize it. We work ourselves to the point as parents where we do not catch our children doing good anymore. In fact, when we see them doing good or when they are doing the right thing, we have reached the point where we trivialize it. We try not to make big of it because somewhere we have told ourselves that the reward of hard work is more work. But if you check it, you have judged them so much, you have nitpicked so well that you do not even see the good things that they do anymore. But you're always quick to catch the wrong things that they do. Now, if this is you, your child is likely not going to come to you with their problems, because nobody loves being judged. Nobody loves being that person that is constantly seeing what they have done that is right, that is wrong, even if you want their good. All right. 3, another reason is, are you empathetic? Are you that person? Are you that parent that is always showing empathy? I am telling you, the kind of empathy we should show towards our children is such that you can actually see your child getting a fit or getting upset over something that, as far as you're concerned, is rubbish. But as a parent, you want to stay in at that point and simply validate the child and try to use your experience, or try to make up some experience that lets the child know that, you know something, I understand what you're going through right now. Because at times, our older kids even know that right now that they are being silly. They know this, but all they need at the time is just someone who is ready to support them at that time. Now, when you as a parent come at that time to start judging and seeing how they are being senseless, your friend is moving, is relocating. Is your umbilical cord tied to her own? I think move on, Jerry. So when you are at that, if these are the kind of responses. Hi, Helen, welcome. Esther, thank you for joining us. All right, welcome, Grace. All right, now, if this is the kind of parent that you are, it means that you are not showing empathy towards your child. You're not empathetic. Now, chances are your child will not run to you when they are worried. Your child will not open up to you because they don't feel safe doing this, because they know that you are either going to trivialize how they feel, or you're going to judge their choices, okay, or you're just going to outrightly show no concern or no interest in what it is that you're doing. So yes, one indication that you're probably not raising an emotionally healthy child is that your child doesn't come to you, doesn't feel safe sharing their pains, their wins, and of course their worries with you. Some of them, you will find that when you're a parent that is always judging them, and you're a parent that always have these really high demands, you have become a parent that your love for the child is almost conditional. You will realize that the child will never come to you with their struggles. They won't come to you when they are failing. They only come to you when they have won. That's the one that happens to a lot of us. Your children are ashamed of their failures. They are ashamed of, every time they make mistakes. So they hide their mistakes and their failures from you as much as possible. The only part of them that you get to see or you get to experience is the goody, that's goody show type part of them. That's it. That's because you as a parent have show yourself to your children as someone that is never wrong, someone who doesn't make mistake. That infallibility factor. You are the parent that is always coming first. Hi, Dr. Mala, how are you doing? You're the parent that is always coming first. You're the parent that is so good. So when this is the picture you present to your child, you realize that your child will take a persona that the only thing that the child shows to you is that winning part. They will do everything within their power to shield and to cover the part of them that is not winning. And you're there thinking you know your child. You don't. They would rather talk to other people that they trust, their friends and other people like that you are not sure how that will end anyway. All right. So you want to know whether your child is growing emotionally healthy. That's the first indication if the child feels free talking to you. The other one you want to look at is, does your child feel free to approach you no matter the time? All right. Is your child that child that will open their mouth and try to say something, mom, and then the next thing you turn and look at them and you're like, what is it? And the child tells you, don't worry. Does that happen to you? Does that happen to you? I'm going to be sharing my experiences with you. And yes, this has happened to me. And for me, that was like a quick indication that something was wrong. Because what it means is you are already fencing the child. So the moment you come with that, yes, what is it? The child just goes back into their shell. It's like you coming to touch a snail, right? You touch the antenna and the snail just retracts. That's what that's what we do to our children when they cannot approach us, So our children are constantly walking on like broken glasses around us, looking for the perfect time. Of course, we will train them to understand that there is time, to seek the perfect time to have certain kind of conversation. But if you have not done this and you realize that every time your child wants to approach you with something, the child is constantly afraid. Will she take it now? Will she be nice? So when you are that person that is not predictable, some of us think that it's a good thing that we're not predictable, but I trust me, it's not a good thing. So your child is not sure. How will she take it this time? Will she be there this time? Will she not be? And that's because sometimes you're cool, sometimes you're not cool. You want to check it. If you have put your children in that place, it means that you're probably not raising an emotionally healthy child. Right now, as I said, this can be, I've written here that this can be because your child doesn't have your full attention, a lot of the times. Sometimes they're talking to you, you're concerned with other things, you're too busy for them. Now, when this is you as a parent, the child is not sure of when to approach you, basically. And then, of course, if you're that parent that is always overwhelmed, you always have work to do, you're always tired, you're always stressed. Now, if this is the picture that you portray, or this is the person that you portray to your children, then you put them in that space where they don't know when to approach you or when not to approach you. And that, of course, is an indication that you're not raising an emotionally healthy child. Esther says, when you're not approachable, your children will withdraw. Absolutely. All right. Now, do you reflect healthy behavior? Yes. Do you reflect healthy behavior? Now you're looking at your children. Sorry. Does your child reflect healthy behavior? Does your child talk themselves down? Or is your child that one that is always talking, does your child do positive talk? Or your child is constantly talking themselves down? Oh God, I'm just an idiot, and all of that. Have you seen cases of children who are crying, and when they are crying, they're actually pulling themselves down? It will amaze you. I'm talking about 6-year-olds. I have been in a classroom where I had this child that every time the child is in a bad mood, he keeps telling himself, you're just an idiot. It's amazing. I had to recommend that the parents, there were other things, but we had to recommend that the parents, sought experts, just take the child, for some sort of evaluation, because it was a lot. It was a lot. These are the same kind of children that you see hurt themselves. They can hurt themselves when, self-hurt and all of that. They do all of those things. Okay. It begins with them thinking negatively about themselves. And yes, parents, some of these negative talks can be them replicating or repeating. Okay. They can be repeating what it is that you have said to them in those moments where you are upset with them, in those moments where they had, pressed your buttons. So that's why we need to be careful. Okay, what language are you using in your home? What language are you giving your child to use in communication? Because the language that your child is going to use is the language that you have given your child to use. Very, very important, especially if you're a parent of a sensitive child. So some of us have really sensitive children, but we don't even know that our children are sensitive. And we find ourselves in the bid to express how mad we are at them, or in those times when we're really overwhelmed, we throw words at our children and we give them those words, and you see them using those words to put themselves down when they find themselves in really tight situations. All right. Now, it will also be as a result of your child having a low self-esteem of himself. Okay. When your child has low self-esteem, okay, you find out that the child talks down at themselves and the child talks down at other people. So is your child that person that exhibits these negative responses towards themselves, towards other people, and talks down on themselves. So if you find a child that's always calling other people idiots, he's always calling other people names, he's always saying really nasty things about other people, trust me, check. That child has a low sense of self-worth, and so the child needs to make another child or another person feel as unworthy as he himself or she herself feels. So you want to pay attention. If you have that child that their tongue is spiteful and really bitter, then it's an indication that you're probably raising an emotionally unhealthy child. All right. The next one is, do they have an opinion about adults that they... Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to see what I wrote here. So what I was trying to say here is, does your child always have an opinion about things that adults are talking about? Yes. Does your child always have an opinion about things that are beyond their age? Does your child always want to butt into conversations that are beyond their age? Some of us think that this is the child being matured, but it's an indication that you are probably, okay, that you are probably overparenting your child. It's an indication that there is parentification happening right there. Your child is probably being exposed to things that are beyond them. So some of us as parents, as mothers especially, when we have issues with our husbands or with our spouses, you see that you are saying all kinds of things before your child. Your child has information that the child does not know how to process, right? We talk about our relationships with our friends, or our children hear us on the phone when we are having trouble with one of our friends and we're speaking with another of our friends. So your child is there in the car, you are talking and spitting and talking all kinds of horrible things about another adult, things that your children do not even know exist. You are there spewing these things out. Your children are recording and they are taking these things in. I promise you, you are amazed that your 8-year-old is having conversations or is having, altercation with their friends that are 8, and they are using adult expressions, and they're doing the things and saying the things that adults say, simply because you have overparented this child, or you are exposed this child to things that your child has no business with. So we need to be careful. Okay, we've seen cases right online. I don't know how celebrities do it. You see how celebrities have issues with their spouses, and you see their children take on the war. For what? Your child is taking on the war in many cases because you have exposed them to so much. Children should be protected. It is your job. It is our job as parents to shield and protect our children from adult environments and the things that concern adults until they are old enough to navigate these things, to process these things basically, and to navigate, around these issues. So when you find children who are always delving into adult issues, always sharing adult issues, there are times my 8-year-old comes from school and she comes and she says certain things. When she says those things, the first thing that comes to mind is, who told you that? Who told you that? You hear 8-year-olds who have serious adult information. And this is what your children do with this information. They take these things and they use them as conversations when they are talking to their mates. And so my daughter comes in here and she doesn't have an idea of this thing, but hey, someone out there is feeding her these things, classmates. And we need to be really very careful with classmates, because there we can't even choose the people who are their classmates a lot of the times. So I say a lot of the times to parents, you see, the school system or the school environment is one place that you do not have control over. Yes, you don't, because you can't choose your children's classmates. You're able to influence, their friendships and relationships, but you can't choose their classmates. You can't it's even out of place to go to a school and say, I want my child out of this class, because you can't do that. So as far as your children go to traditional schools, they will be bunched with all kinds of people. So that's why I hope home, you need to do what you have to do. And you need to open that communication line that I talked about at the beginning. It's that communication line being open that will help you have an idea of what it is that they are exposed to in school, because they come back to you with this information, and then you are able to come in and switch a perspective, explain certain things to the children, nip what needs to be nipped in the bud, and then of course tell them what conversations they can be a part of, basically. Because the reason they will come back and say to you, this is it, is because they already feel awkward about these conversations, because they are not conversations that are common to them. So very, very key. The moment you hear your children beginning to talk about issues that are bigger than them, right, then you know that there's an issue. The other day, I asked my 14-year-old son, what is the conversation that is going on? I ask all those questions every now and then. What's going on now? What are you, I mean, what's everybody talking about? And he said to me, oh, I heard some of them, I mean, some of the kids talking about, a show. And in that show, a guy was, I mean, it was a concert. You didn't even know the name of the musician. There was a concert and the musician was singing, and then a girl came on stage and they went behind the curtain and had sex. That is it. I didn't know what this was about and all of that. So when I was with some of my friends, I brought up, because I wanted to know, I wanted to know what that was about. You cannot raise your child in a world that they do not understand. So yes, it's not about shut up, don't say it, I don't want you to. It's about understanding the real thing or what's going on there, so that you are able to share perspective with your children. So I had to, bring the conversation up when I was with, some of my friends that are very, versatile when it comes to, this whole online thing and what's going on in pop culture and all of that, And we're like, and somebody was like, oh no, oh, okay, that was exactly what happened. It happened like this. No, they were not having sex. But hey, this is what these 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds who have phones. This is what your 13-year-old and 14-year-olds who have phones. This is how they interpreted that scenario. This is how they interpreted it. And this is what their conversations are. So these are the conversations that 13 and 14-year-olds are having. I mean, this is what, and some of them are looking forward to the day that they will go to a concert. And for all you know, this is the only thing that a child may, have at the back of their mind of what a concert should mean. So we need to be very careful as parents, right? So you need to pay attention. If your children become, those ones that are constantly talking about these kind of issues. I was sharing with some of the kids. I was with some of the kids, and one of them was telling me how in her class, there's a girl in their class that keeps saying, all of the boys here are beneath her, so hey, we need to be careful, basically, but you need to pay attention so that you can hear what it is that your children, what kind of conversations they are having, and this will tell you where they are at as far as emotional healthiness is concerned. All right, Esther says the child you shield from the world cannot change the world. Exactly. Okay, if we want them to change the world, if we want them to rule this world, then we can shield them, but we need to give them perspective. Yes, we need to look at these issues and have conversations around these issues that leaves the children empowered rather than afraid. We leave them empowered rather than hungry for the things that they do not understand. Very, very key. All right. Now, the last one I'm going to be sharing with you is, do they know how to name their feelings? So if you have children, you have toddlers, you have school-age children, you have preschoolers, you have even your preteens, right? And your just teens. Now, when your children are going through an emotion, do they know what emotion they are going through? This is an indication of whether your child is emotionally healthy or not healthy. Do they understand what they are feeling per time? Can they talk about how they are feeling per time? Can they name their emotions, right? Can they name those emotions? And then, of course, if they are at the space where they can now name the emotions, and there's so many things that we can do to help them name the emotions. We had over the weekend, we had a toddler course. We had a course for toddler parents that was free. Okay, if you're a toddler parent here and you were not in that master class, I beg you, okay, indicate in the comment section that you were not in that class and you would like to catch the replay of that master class, because it would do you a lot of good. Okay, we didn't just talk about, children being able to name their emotions. We gave solutions. We gave lots of strategies that parents can use to teach children how to name their emotions and then how to deal with those emotions. Children do not come, children are not born with the ability to deal with emotions. No, they are not. Okay, they are not born with the ability to deal with emotions. It is one gift that we will have to give our children as parents. So you will have to know how before you can help your child in that area. Now, if you don't know how, then you are unable to help your children. And that's bringing us to the next thing that we're going to be talking about. So ironically, these behaviors that our children post, I just shared with you a number of indications of behavior that your children will post that will help you know that your child is not emotionally healthy, that there's something wrong in their emotional, in their emotional intelligence and the knowledge of, their emotions and how to deal with the emotions and all of that. And I hope you know that as a human being, you are your emotions and the emotions that drive you. Okay, how stable you are as a human being is the level to which you can manage your emotions. So you are your emotions and the level to which those emotions drive you. So dear parents, dear adults, are you a manager of your emotions? Do you know how to manage your emotions? Because if you do not know how to manage your emotions, there is no way you're going to raise an emotionally healthy human being. There's no way you're going to raise a child that is emotionally healthy. As I was saying, ironically, this behavior that our children pose, or this behavior that you see, at the behavior that they have learned from their environment. And I hope by now you know that you are your child's first environment. You and the home that you are created for your child is the child's first environment. When children come, they come with no knowledge of how to respond to this environment. The environment where they are born to, they know not how to respond to this environment. That's why when they are babies, when they are infants, the only response they have to every feeling is either to smile or to cry. So the child is angry, he cries. The child is wet, he cries. The child is hungry, he cries. The child is everything. Is either the child is crying, or if the emotion is pleasurable, the child is smiling or the child is laughing. So these are the only two emotions that the child, meanwhile, they are tons and tons of emotions, isn't it? So yes, before now, these are the only things that come naturally. You will have to be the one, you, the parents, you, the primary caregiver. That environment you have created for the child is going to be how the child will learn how to respond to events, to circumstances in their environments. So yes, whether your child is that one that is throwing a tantrum, or that one that is constantly yelling, or that one that says nasty things to other people, or is that one that does not know how to delay gratification, whatever emotion your child is posing is as a result of what you have fed the child, is as a result of what your environment has fed the child, is as a result of the people and the environment that you have given access to your child. So I hope you know by now that you are totally 100% responsible for the school or the church or the mosque or the neighborhood or the people in your home that influence or have access to your child. It is your responsibility. So if your child is in a school where all the child is learning is negative, take 100% responsibility. The child did not ask to go there. The child did not have to go there. So if you are too busy or you are too engrossed to notice that your child is in an environment that is disempowering, then it is because you are not being mindful as a parent, or you are not being present the way you should be. So you should be so present as a parent that you can tell when the environment that your child is in is becoming toxic. You should be so mindful and be so present that you can tell when the content in your home has become toxic to your child. You should be able to tell that. You should be so conscious that you can tell when the adults and the people that you have brought into your home have become a threat or have become, a safety barrier for your child. So it is your responsibility, dear parents. If you are the one that takes your child to that worship center where they've twisted the word of God upside down and they have put whatever it is that is wrong in there, okay, whether it's not, it is you, dear parents. So either any way we want to look at it, our children's emotions or how they respond with their emotions to their environment is as a result of what it is that we have given to them. So we are a huge part of our children's responses or their emotional responses. And these are the things that we're talking about when we say, how do we affect, or how our emotions, I've said it before that how we act, who we are, is a sum total of, our emotion, where we are basically in our emotional stability. Okay, how you talk to people, how you deal with people, how you deal with circumstances is all as a result of how stable you are emotionally as a person. All right, and these are all of the things that your child is going to feed from. All right. So in the meantime, all that the child knows for now, until they are old enough to take total responsibility, okay, is your responsibility or can be tied to you. All right. So the brain of the child is a relational organ. So at the point children are born, okay, let's go back to like when your children are infants. So at the point where your baby is born, as I said, it's tabula rasa. The child doesn't come with full dose of how to respond to the environment. The child is going to learn from you. So a lot of brain development is happening at this point. And the brain happens to be a relational organ, meaning the development of the brain is dependent on the relationship that the child has with his or her environment. The part of the brain that helps the child control their emotions or help them become emotionally stable does not fully mature. That's the frontal cortex. It doesn't get fully matured until the child is somewhere around 25, 26, somewhere, in the mid towards the late part of their 20s. That's when that part of the brain fully develops. However, at different points of the child's life, okay, the growth or how advanced the prefrontal cortex is different from one child to the other. So you can have a child who is 10 and another 10-year-old. One 10-year-old who is in an environment that is not stable, an environment where there is no communication, an environment where the parent does not listen to their need, an environment where the parents do not affirm them, an environment where the parents are constantly judging them, an environment where the child is not giving an attachment that is secure, right? Yet, there is another child that is in an environment where communication has been established. There's communication line established, an environment where the child can connect with the parents, an environment where the child can make mistakes and they are able to walk through the journey. The parents are able to walk through the journey of the child understanding that mistakes are a part of life, and they teach the children how to be resilient enough to stay in there and correct their mistakes, and move on. Now, these two children are 8 or 10-year-olds, but I tell you, their prefrontal cortex are not developed at the same level. This one whose relation is positive will have a more advanced or more developed prefrontal cortex. So this child is able to regulate their emotions better. This child is going to do better in school. Yes, and I'm not talking about the fact that they have grades. If this one has 10 lesson teachers pumping and popping, they have one teacher, one parent that is always putting them under pressure. Yes, the child will start coping and the child will start giving you results. But I promise you, the child is learning nothing. The child is just under duress, giving you results. The day that pressure will drop, one day it will drop now. One day the child will be old enough to walk away from your pressure. That's it. The child will be old enough to walk away from your pressure, old enough to run away from your pressure. And this doesn't mean that the child will run away from home. This doesn't mean that the child will disappear and nobody will find them. Sometimes it just simply means when the child is 20 and the child can go off to university, when the child is 18 and the child leaves your home for the first time, then bam, the child will unleash all of those nonsense that you were forcing them. It's like magic. Everything will disappear. And you realize that the child has all those high grades, but the child is the most corrupt person that you can think of. The child has all those high grades. The child is the most emotionally unstable human being. The child is the most toxic person in the block. The child is the most angry person in the block. The child is the most disrespectful person. This is what we do to our children when we don't allow them go through the process with good, positive relationship in their environment. So yes, they will grow and they will grow and give us what it is that we are pushing them for. But eventually, when you step away and you take the backstage, or you take you step away from the front burner and the child has to direct themselves, you will find out that the child has got no skills to direct themselves effectively. Now, this child that has been given all of this positive relationship, you realize that the child is doing well. The child is able to think. The child becomes creative. The child becomes innovative. The child is the one that is creating, thinking of ideas. These are the people who create inventions. These are the people who begin and start businesses. They fail in their businesses and they get up and they continue. These are the people who can talk and relate to people. These are the people that can build social connections and relationships because they know how to manage their emotions. These are the people that can control themselves per time. They are not going off on people anyhow. These are the people that do not pepper them. These are the people that do not say, I don't take rubbish from anybody. I give you woto. All those woto people, it's this child. That's where it's coming from. So a lot of times when we are in that space where we are constantly yelling and shouting, and when we are in our environment, the child is taking all the negative vibes. We will raise woto giving children. We will raise children who come online to express themselves every time and all of that. All right. So very, very key that we know all of this thing about, that part of the brain that needs to develop. So as I said, the brain is a relational organ, and it is the relationship in the child's environment that will help the child build that part of their brain that can help them regulate their emotions, that can help them learn, that can help them build social connections, that can help them relate with people. It does a lot of area. That's where creative ideas come from. It is from that part of the brain. So if you are not giving your children positive behavior or giving them positive relationship, then you are doing them a disservice if we're not doing this as parents. All right. So now let's look at how, as parents, right? Let's look at how we already know some of the things that we do that, can actually affect our children's stability. Okay, or did I talk about that? Okay, let me go through that quickly before we go to solutions, because we can't come here and talk and we're not giving any solutions. So number one is rich language. If your parents who doesn't have rich language, and you don't use rich language in your relationship with your children, what it means that you are not giving your children words. You are not giving them words to express themselves, words to express their emotions per time, words to deliver how they feel. You're not giving them that. Okay, at the masterclass, my partner was talking about a video. And the masterclass we had for toddlers, as I said, if you were not in that masterclass, I need you to run. I mean, put it in the comments, okay, especially if you're on Facebook. All these comments on YouTube may disappear before, when I'm done with this session. So I may not be able to see it. But if you're in any of our groups, if you're on Facebook, if you have our number, you need to send a message if you are a toddler parent and you would like to be, if you like it to be, to catch the replay of that toddler class. So my partner was talking about how there was this video where a boy was saying to his mom, I was very upset, right? I can't remember exactly, but I think I watched that video. The child was complaining to his mom that, Mom, I'm very upset. I was very upset today because I think I did not make good decisions today, and all of that. And the mom was like, oh, why? And all of that. And it's like, yeah, that's because you also did not make good decisions by yelling. When we give our children language, we will find out positive language, rich language. We will find out that we have equipped them with what they need to express themselves at any time. So that's why you see children from certain, part of the world are always able to express how they feel. It is not in the kind of sun that they have. It's not because of winter. It's not because of, the cold. It's not the cold or the whatever that gives them this. It's the environment. It's the way we talk, it's the way we speak to each other, it's a kind of language we use to express ourselves. It is all of this. And yes, you can create your own country in your home. You can you can actually have your own country in your home. You can build your own traditions. You can build your own, anything you want to call it, right in your home. You can have your own policies where there is a kind of language that is acceptable in your home. In my home, we don't use curse words. You can't use curse words in my home. In my home, we're not supposed to yell at each other. All right. So now, am I saying you're going to be perfect? Okay. If you're a parent who is still yelling, okay, as I was for a long time, even if you put those policies on the biggest wall, okay, your children will still yell, because it is not by printing policies, it's by living out those policies, basically. All right. So the language in your home is going to determine the language that your children speak. If your language is positive, if your language is kind, if your language is empathetic, if your language is, you have real good speaking etiquette, you have all of those things, then you will find out that your children can express themselves in this kind of language. Now, if you don't, then your children will talk but they would talk anyhow, the way you're talking anyhow. And that is one of the things that we do. Because some of us do not have verbal discipline, we talk to our spouses anyhow, we talk to our house helps anyhow, we talk on the phone when we're talking with our friends. We would even use some of the slangs and some of the things that we used to talk about, or that we used to say when we were in university, when there were no responsibilities. You still want to talk in that way. Some of us have some really vulgar kind of, words that we speak, yet we still want to speak those vulgar words on the phone, okay? And in your mind, you are talking to your friend, not your child. But there, the child is in the car, the child can listen to you, all right? So what are you saying? It's going to determine what it is that your child is going to say, okay? For the longest time, there was a time that I would keep company where you can, I used to keep company where you can actually be out with the children and you are having conversations and adults and the children can hear. And those conversations are not even conversations that children should be hearing because they're conversations where someone is talking about how they had dealt with somebody somehow and all of that. See, children are picking these things, okay? At some point, I knew I needed to stop. I needed to make sure that I wasn't in those kind of conversations and in such gatherings because I realized these children were always around and they could hear us. So you need to be careful, okay? The kind of language you use, even when you are angry with your children. The other one is the fact that some of us, because we're walking this journey and you're walking this journey alone, your partner is not on the same page with you. All right, your husband in many cases. Okay, so we as a woman, most times we're the ones, as women, we're the ones who catch this whole intentional journey. We want to be intentional, we want to pay attention to the children. Oh, we don't want to eat anymore, we don't want to yell anymore. So you get into that space and your husband or your spouse is not in that space yet. So while you're doing all of this work and being, careful and doing all of these things, you still have a spouse that is doing all the wrong things, shouting and hitting and beating and all of that. Okay. And so because of that, you just feel like it's wasted effort. You can't do anything. Let me tell you, parents, there is the power of one. Of course, two will chase 10,000, all right. But if you are in that space where your partner is not on the same page with you yet, and you cannot put a leash and begin to drag your husband, okay? You can't do that. Neither can you turn your home to a war front because all of a sudden you have knowledge and he's so unknowledgeable about these issues. You can't do that. So what you want to do is you are going to have to protect your children. Do you know that as a mother, your emotional stability is enough to teach your children to be emotionally stable? You know why? Because a lot of the times you are the one that spends the most time with your children. Research has it that children learn empathy, right? They learn empathy, they learn warmness, they learn warmth, empathy. They learn all of those soft, nature from their mothers. So chances are your son is going to treat his wife or spouse in the future, okay, kindly because of the relationship that your son had with you. So yes, your child you may be the one who is you may be the only parent, okay, that is involved in all of these things. Don't even get yourself tired. Don't get yourself frustrated. Just be in that space and be consistent. Yes, be the one who is consistent. I promise you, there is greatness there is strength in the power of one person who is consistent. You will be amazed at how you can affect or influence your spouse while you do the same thing with your children. So let your children see consistency. It doesn't matter if this consistency, it's better if this consistency is on both sides. But I promise you, if one person stays consistent, and I mean consistent, all right, that is enough to help you raise an emotionally healthy child. I tell you. Now, if you are emotionally stable and you are consistent, what happens is, and then of course, be matured enough not to become the good cop and then turn your husband to the bad cop. So what happens is every time your children get into trouble with their father, that I am sure that if we're walking this journey, you are with them most of the time, you do what you have to do, will be less times. They won't get into trouble so many times because even with the spouses who are not on this journey yet, it's not like fathers just come and they want to just scatter the house and beat everybody all the time. Okay, it's because they do not know how to undo the negative behaviors that come from the children. So what happens is the less negative behavior that they see in the home, the less the chance that your children will get into trouble with their father, right? That's one. Two, the fact that these things happen and you are stable in all of it. The children go through this with their father, and you are like, I need you to stop and reflect about what you could have done, okay, that you can do better. Don't try to make your children feel that they are responsible for their father's being, their father's emotions. They are not. They are not responsible for their father's emotions. They are not. I mean, and this could be the other way. It could even be the wife that is the one that is like this, and the husband is different. So either way, no child is responsible for the way an adult responds to the child's negative behavior, whatever. Because as adults, we should be, as human beings, we should be in charge of our emotions at all times. Okay, learn to find out your trigger and deal with your trigger. So no, the child is not responsible for your emotions. So don't make your child take responsibility for the spouse's lack of emotional intelligence or emotional responsibility. All right, just let them know that they could have played a role in whatever happened. Let them reflect on the role that they have played and then think of ways that they can do better in the future. Now, that's alone, that you can stay there in that space calmly. Okay, probably when the child is crying, you're calmly. How do you feel right now? How do you feel right now? Okay, yeah, there are times that I've been in this position also. It really felt bad, but you know something, okay, it will get better, isn't it? We will get better. Just staying there. Okay, you feel like crying, cry it out. It's okay. Cry it out. It's okay. So allow the child go through the emotions, and then when the child feels better, you tell the child to do a bit of reflection. What could you have done? You know, or how could you? What do you think you contributed to? You know, what happened and all of that. That alone is teaching your child stability. That alone is teaching your child, giving your child language. That alone is showing your child how to handle their emotions. That's you doing something there, parents. Yes, that's you doing something. Now, you can't be the one that is here giving them language. I mean, affirming what they are going through and then telling them this. And then tomorrow, you are the one that will join in the matter and you are the one doing the same thing that the father did the same day. So if this is it, the child will get confused. So someone needs to be stable. There is the power, okay? There is the power of one. Yes, two is greater, but there is also the power of one person who is stable. Very, very key. All right. So, but if you are that one that is not stable, you can actually cause emotional instability for your child if you're that kind of parent. Okay. Now, if you're a parent that when you are looking for something or something is wrong in the home, or when you are frustrated, you are screaming, you are shouting, you are throwing things, you hold the child, you fling the child this way, and you're that kind of person, that parent that is offhand when you are upset with the child. And then you turn and you see them doing the same thing to their siblings, and you begin to shout, what is wrong with you? You're such a wicked child. Excuse me. All right. So your children will reflect what they see in you. And you know how we do that prayer? May my child be greater than me. When you give them time, one, they will give you times two. So you could be that parent that really gets upset. And then you are throwing things around, doing a face, your demeanor is totally distorted because you're upset and all of that. When your child picks it from you, the child will probably take things and throw at the TV and all of that because the child will multiply. They will multiply. It's a prayer that we pray that our children will be greater than us. So that greater than you, they'll be greater in everything. Okay, even in managing their emotions. All right. So what do you do when you are in that space? That can lead to your child's emotional instability. All right. Are you mindful as a parent? Are you mindful? Are you present in the environment? Are you present per time in whatever you are doing? Okay. How present you are. Are you that person that will start one thing? You are not finishing it. You jump to the next thing. Are you the one that is cooking? As you are cooking, you are playing with your phone. As you are playing with your phone, you are answering the second phone and all that. If you are that person, you are going to make your child, right, the kind of person that is not stable too. Your child will be disorganized. I hope you know that all of this is tied. Your child will be emotionally disorganized. Your child will be physically disorganized because you are that person that never seems to be mindful, okay, per time. Are you that child person that every time your child is going through something, you don't even know, you can't even tell, you can't even see that something is off or something has changed about your child? This is because you are not mindful. So if you are that kind of person, you're likely going to raise a child who isn't mindful. So you can actually be ill, you can actually be in need, you can actually be, going through something, and your child is so emotionally detached that it really doesn't matter to them whether the sky fell on you or not. Okay, some of us have lost, you will lose a friend or a family member, and your children are there playing game, and they can't even feel, the tempo in the, and they can't feel the, the tension in the environment. They can't feel anything. They're in their own world. Nothing disturbs them, nothing concerns them with you. Okay, it could be that you have raised this child because of how detached you are yourself. Okay, we have cases of parents at the time that your children are young, you didn't build trust in these children. All right, the child is crying, you're not paying attention to the child, whether the child is crying or not crying. The child has emotional needs, you're not paying attention to those emotional needs. The child has, the child is wet and the child is crying, and then you are there angry. You're probably going through some sort of, depression at the time, and all of that is mounted on the child. When the child, you would think that they are just children, but I promise you, as they grow older, all of these responses that you have built over the years will be the reason whether your child will trust you or not trust you. And how your child responds to you as a person is going to be dependent on whether they trust you or do not trust you. The emotional detachment that your child has towards you could be as a result of how detached you were towards that child where the child was growing up. So all of these are part of the way that you affect your child. So let's look quickly at how, as parents, we can mitigate this, or how we can help our children, or make sure that we are not the one putting our children in this place. All right. So I need my glasses. All right. So number one thing you want to do as a parent is you want to be a parent who, first of all, deals with your own emotional baggages. All right. So let's rush this quickly. In the next 3 minutes, 5 minutes will be done. So you want to be a parent, first of all, if you're going to raise emotionally stable children, if you're going to be raise emotionally healthy children, you must go through that journey of looking at yourself and looking at where you are coming from and evaluating your own position, okay, when it comes to being emotionally stable. Because as I said earlier, you cannot be emotionally irresponsible and you're able to raise emotionally responsible people. Okay, when our son first came, our son is 14 years old. I was in that place where every of my emotion, you can look at me and you will tell what I'm going through by just looking at my face. I didn't know how to regulate myself and my emotions at all. So you see, I'm having trouble at work. It is on my face. So I'm picking him up, and there isn't that whole, yeah, mommy's here, and there isn't it. I am carrying it on my head, So the child, so those times you will even see him. He's looking in your face. He's constantly looking in your face, like trying to find out, can I talk to this person? Can I not talk to this person? It took my son, when my son became somewhere around 6, and I realized, those times when we are excited, when we're happy, is boisterous. He's a boisterous person. He wants to talk. He wants to do all of that. But it took me going to school, and they had presentations, and I realized that the entire school was involved in that presentation. My son was nowhere to be found. I bought clothes, everything. My son was nowhere to be found. He was playing in the playground. In fact, as far as I was concerned, all of his friends, all the people that I know that go to the same school, everyone had one presentation or the other. When we got home, I had to ask him. Daddy was not in town, so it was just two of us. So I had to ask him, I didn't see you do anything. Why? And he said, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to dance in front of people. I don't want to be in front of people. I don't want to. So I realized he had social, he had For, of course, public speaking was out of the way. He didn't want to go on stage. He didn't want to be heard. He just wanted, so home was the only place where he felt safe. Outside, he couldn't because he wasn't sure of how people would react towards him. Okay. And if you're not, if you're not in a good place, you would think this is about the school. You will not realize that this is even something that started from home. I started doing some evaluation and I realized daddy was always, daddy was someone that would yell and, probably give him a knock when he does something wrong. And then here I was also, mine wasn't that frequent. It wasn't like at every point I am. But hey, from time to time, I'm also in that space. And then I was this person that my emotions were all over the place. Okay, when I'm having trouble at work, I have it on my face. When I'm happy tomorrow. So he wasn't sure which one, one day I'm happy, the next day I'm not happy, the next. So it created a lot of stability for him. There was no stability and all of that. And all of this started affecting the person that he was, even in school and all of that. So it took going on a journey, wanting to have answers and wanting to know what else I can do better and how I can support him better. It took all of that for me, to find solutions and start working on that journey. So, dear parents, the thing about it is we take these things for granted. These are things that as our children are very young, we can get it right at once. But if we don't do this, it will take you years. I'm telling you, if you call me today and you put me on a seat and you ask me about my 14-year-old, and I have to tell you the part of his life where we are still, the part of his life where we are constantly or seriously, having to work on, I would tell you it still has to do with that social skills and how he relates to people. And that's because of all, of the instability, in his environment when he was growing, because we didn't know any better. And it's taken us years. It's taken us 6-7 years to get him to that space. He has done, it's a lot of progress, huge work in progress. He's done a lot, but I tell you, it is still something that we are working on. And I have been working on this since he was 6. He's 14 today. I am still working on this. So if you can, especially if you are a toddler parent, get these things right once and for all. I can tell you this for free because I have raised my daughter after him. My 8-year-old is, my 8-year-old is emotionally balanced, healthy. So yes, her emotions, she would express every emotion that she feels per time, right? There are times that she's upset and she will say to me, we're in the kitchen and, she's upset or she's gotten into trouble and she'll say to me, Mommy, can I just take a few minutes and sit down in the living room or in my room because I am not feeling very great right now and I wouldn't want to do anything that is not appropriate. When you give your children language, they will use language. I'm telling you. Okay, it's only now that our son is 13 and 14 that he's in that space, okay, that he would actually express himself that deeply, something that his sister would do without batting an eyelid at age 6, at age 4, and all of that. So it's a lot about us, please, dear parents. All right. Number 2, share your journey with your children. Okay. Especially when you were walking that journey with them. Till this day, I still share my journey with my children. So there are times that I actually go off. I go off and I say to them minutes after, all right, I didn't even have a business, reacting that way. And my daughter or my son, either of them will actually say, it's okay, Mommy, you're also a work in progress. They say that much right now. He'll be like, Mommy, it's okay. There's nothing to forgive. I even understand, right, that you are a work in progress. We are in that space. So walk your journey with your children. Share your journey with your children. Share the strategy that you are using for your little children. When you get upset, Take a deep breath. Okay, breathe in, breathe out. And while you're doing that, you say to the child, I was really upset, but I just, did the breathing exercise. I did breathe in, breathe out, and I feel better right now. Okay, I feel better right now. And then go off to what you're doing. This may not even concern the child. I promise you, when the child is in the same situation, the child will do the same thing, because you have shown them. So walk that journey together. All right. We are doing, apart from the toddler course we had this weekend, we have a lot going on this month for young parents of young children and toddlers. We have a course that is coming on from the 12th of April for parents of toddlers, school-age children, and all of that. So if you have children between 0 and 7, you may want to be a part of that course. It's an amazing course where we're going to be taking parents through how they can optimize, or they can use play on their journey to help their children, right, optimize learning. All right, if you'd like to be a part of that course, the cost is 7,500 naira. Okay, but amazing. If you're in that toddler course, then you know what I'm talking about. We just did emotions and empathy. Okay, in this class, we're going to be doing in many other areas. So if you join in that class, you will know how to use play activity to help your children. And that's the next thing that I'm going to go to help your children manage their emotions. You have to learn how to use fun, how to use play, right, to help them understand their emotions, to help them know how to express these emotions, and to help them deal with these emotions. Okay, now number 4 is refuse to drown, okay, yourself because your child is going through an emotion. Refuse to respond to the child based on what the child deserves. That's why we find ourselves beating and yelling and shouting, because when your child is going through that episode, you say to yourself, what is this rubbish? Okay, refuse to be drowned, to be pulled, to responding to the child, okay, based on, what the child is expressing at that time. The child is a child. They do not have control. You are an adult. You have control. So don't take the position of the child and say to yourself, it's because the child made me. No, nobody makes you. It's because you are not able to manage your emotions, not because anybody made you. All right. The next one is you want to give your children language. So you want to express yourself. Okay. Be expressive as a parent. Be expressive at all times. Okay. Talk about your emotions. Talk about how you are feeling. Okay. At all times. As you do this, you will help them also learn how to express their emotions and how to deal with their emotions. Very, very key. And then lastly, you want to validate how your children feel every time. Whatever your child is going through, even if you think that your child deserves it, even if you think that your child is being senseless, even no matter what it is that you feel that the child deserves at the time, always allow yourself think this way. A wrong person, that someone is wrong, does not mean that they deserve to be hurt. A lot of times, the way or the reason why we act the way we act, especially the way we call ourselves African mothers, African parents, the reason that we go the abuse routes, we don't like to hear this, but a lot of times we abuse our children. The reason you are beating up your children, the reason you are talking down, yelling, and doing all of those things towards your children is because you feel that because this person is wrong, the person deserves something that will hurt, that will pain, that will destroy their self-esteem. So the reason you are talking so harshly and in a condescending way to your child because you think your child is wrong is because you want to destroy their self-esteem at that time. We don't think about these things deeply. Why else would you want to call someone an idiot? Why else would you want to call someone you don't ever know how to do anything well? How is that supposed to make the person feel? Happy? How is that supposed to make the person feel about themselves? Cool? No. So think about it. It's because we've been sold the narrative that people deserve the worst because they are wrong. That is the reason the mob will put a tire over you and burn you, because they think you've done something wrong. Because the culture where we're coming from, okay, the narrative that we have is that when people are wrong, they deserve all the bad thing. That's why even when we watch movies, or when something happens and they say, oh, someone is involved, okay, probably someone dies and they're like, someone is involved, we don't feel that the person should be taken to a court of law. We are the law by ourselves, on our own. We will sit down there, make our own judgments, decide on who is the wrong person, and then we will wish that wrong person what bad or death at that time. So when you hear that someone who has done a wrong thing dies, or you hear that someone who has done a wrong thing, the downfall of someone that we feel has done wrong, we are happy. It's a cultural thing. Okay, it's a culture that has taught us that people who make mistakes deserve to be down. They deserve to die. They deserve. So it's wrong. So if it's only us, there will be no correctional facilities, because as far as we're concerned, anybody who's done wrong should be dragged and be destroyed. So that's why you see the mob, okay, the average person who doesn't even, who can think beyond certain level, feels everyone who is wrong should die. So that's why someone steals, you can steal chicken, they'll put tire over you and burn you. Meanwhile, that person that is joining to burn you stole goats the next day. Because he wasn't caught, it's okay. You that stole chicken, put a tire and burn the person. Don't teach him or don't help him do better. Just burn him. So it's the same mentality that we use, that when our children are wrong, you say to them, I'm going to disgrace you in your class. So at the time, you feel that the child needs to be brought down to nothing because he's done something. So he needs to be disgraced before his peers so that he can feel like nothing. And then tomorrow will come, oh, coach, my child does not have good self-esteem. He's not bold. How will he be bold when you destroyed all that, while you are trying to discipline them? All right. So very, very key that we understand these things and we don't find ourselves amongst the people who are doing these things. So no matter what it is that your child deserves, what it is that they have done, what it is that they are going through. Okay, oh, that friend you said they shouldn't follow. They have followed the friend. And now see how the relationship has ended. It's okay. Still validate. I know how you feel right now. I've been here also. Okay, I need you to go through it. Feel it, feel all of it. Just know that I'm here. If you need a hug, I'm right here. Thank you very much, everyone. Let me also invite you for a mastermind conference. So we have the Mastermind Children's Conference for children between the ages of 7 and 15. We have a powerful conference that is coming up between the 10th and the 13th of April. It is free. Okay, so you want to use the link right now. Okay, if you want to do the course, please take a screenshot of the course or the information for the course, and you can make payments to be a part of that course. The course will bless you. I promise you, it will bless you, and it will transform your entire parenting journey. I am not even joking about it. It will give you, it will empower you, and it will give you tools that you can use to use play. You can take to use play to help your children build skills in every area that will help you raise a wholesome child. I'm going to be sharing the information for you to join the mastermind conference for your child. All right, so we have the conference. It's from the 10th to the 13th. Okay, you can take a screenshot of that also, or just send a message to us on 081-306-21566. Send a message and tell us, you would like to register your child for the conference, and we'll send you a link to register your child. If you have children in boarding school, they'll be on holiday then. Children between the ages of 6, if your 6-year-old is matured enough to sit down, the mastermind 6-year-olds will be there. Okay, our peer mentorship group will be there. But for your 7-year-olds who has not been doing this before, for your children who have not been doing this before, 7 is fine. Okay, so use the link to register your 7 to 15-year-olds children. 15-year-old children to be a part of this conference. This is a conference for children by children. We have champions who are doing amazing things, shining their lights in the world, and they're going to be sharing their experiences at that conference. You do not want your child to miss it. Many children have come to our conference, and after the conference, they start doing great things. Have a fantastic day, parents. I think we've taken a whole 17 minutes. I'm so sorry about this. Have a wonderful day. I hope you got value from this session. If you did, please write it down in the comments. Let us know that you got value from the session. Thank you, Ellen. We are work in progress. Exactly. Thank you, Helen. All right, you can't give what you don't have. Absolutely. The language in your home will determine how your children will speak. Totally so. How you create your own country. Yes, so. Yes, so. Your own local government is your house. In Nigeria, we create everything for ourselves. Please also create an environment that is stable. When your children are stable at home, I'm telling you, they'll go out and they'll also be stable. Thank you very much. We do not take it for granted that you allow us be a part of your parenting journey. We are here every Monday sharing these tips, but we know that this is not enough. You need some hand holding, you need more, and the children need to start walking their journey by themselves. That is why you need them. You need to enroll them for the Mastermind Circle, where we walk this journey with your children every day for 365 days. It's an amazing place to be. Apart from that, we have resources. So I have my books, Unlocking Excellence. This one is for your children 10 and above. Amazing book. Okay, we also have Young and Money Smart. You want your children to start having the right perspective about money, okay? Thinking of money from an empowering point. This is a book for you. I love play, 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 play. So this is for your children 0 to 10. You want to incorporate play into everything you do. This is the book for you, all right? This one, I'm talking about reflection, like your children reflect. Gratitude and journaling. That's one of the things you want to help them do, to express their feelings in a journal. This one is tailored, specifically for children. So this is an amazing, amazing book. Christmas Stories for Champion is part of my Story for Champion series. It tells about what Christmas was like to us for sharing with our children. Legacy. Then this is my first book, Bedtime Stories for Champion. Amazing, amazing. We've sold 3,000 copies of this book and we're still selling. Amazing book. Every child should have this book in their collection. And the only parenting book that we have, Mentor Parent, shared my story here of how I struggled at the beginning and how we're able to support our child through his struggles. You can get all of our books, 8 of them, right, for I think about 29,000. They are that cheap, but you can get each of them. We have distributors all around the country. So just reach out to us on 081-306-21566 and we will let you know how to make payments for the book and what distributor is close to you. Have a fantastic rest of the day and a blessed week. Bye.